Hello guys, welcome to weekly outlook here on gold, the pound USD, the USDCAD, and of course the DXY. Starting with the DXY, last week I anticipated that push to the upside, and now we can see we are still very much bullish here on DXY, slowing, going up a little bit to the daily time frame. I'm still anticipating price to actually make a touch to 105.50 and possibly weaken into 106 going into this week. All right, so looking into this 4-hour time frame, I can see last week we broke through this new high that was made at 105.15, and price broke above it. I think that was Thursday, and then we had a retest on that region on Friday, and we've seen continuation to the upside. So going forward, basically what I'm anticipating is a possible continuation to the upside. All right, so possibly what we might see is a direct continuation to the upside, or we can just get maybe a pullback to create a double bottom around here before we continue to that upside. Okay, furthermore, I'm only interested in selling or seeing a shift in the trend if price comes back to break this critical support region, breaking the upward trend line. Then we might not see a possible change to the downside, but I doubt that. Okay, so looking forward for the week, this is my analysis. Buys on DXY, so buys on DXY. All right, that being said, slowing into the next category, I'm looking at gold. Gold is still very much bearish. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. I was anticipating a new low last week. It didn't play out. This is the daily time frame, by the way. Then if we slide into the 4 hours time frame, I'm still much anticipating price at market open to continue the rejection from these regions of 1930, break this low. All right, a little bit of a retest to that region, come back here to 1886. Okay, and if possible, we might see a break of this region of 1875, a break of it, then we might see a continuation to the downside. Okay, something like that. All right, I'm only interested in buys now, a shift to the downside, to the upside, if and only if price, let me go to the daily time frame, if and only if, although we can see something like an inverse head and shoulder pattern created here, but I'm not looking at that fully because I'm looking at the trend. Okay, so I'm only interested in buys if price breaks above this region here, then we can see a possible uptrend movement. Okay, that being said, I'm looking at this downward trend line. We might see price come back here to create a double top, still a double top, but it's still going to be under a bearish trend, and then we'll just see price still continue to the downside. This is what I mean. Let me see this differently. Now this is what I mean. I mean that price can actually break through this region, come back to equal these highs here, and then still push to the downside. Okay, now let me delete this, because it depends on the kind of volatility before we see price break through this region and or get all the way to 1816. So looking forward, I'm anticipating just the simplest one, which is a break of this region, retest it, and then we can see price coming to these regions. Okay, all right, so this is my analysis for gold. If we slide down to the 4 hours time frame, you see clearly why I'm doing that. We also have some counter trend confluences here, like this being broken, and we're using this as two highs, and price to continue to the downside. Okay, all right, so that being said, now let's move over to pound USD. On pound USD here, we've been very bearish, and we'll be seeing consistent trend to the downside. Lower low, lower high, break, create new low, in retest, create new low, retest, broke above it, retest. So my anticipation going forward for pound USD is a possible continuation to the downside to retest 123 regions, or we might just see just see pushback to retest these regions here creating a retest here before continuing to the downside. That's also possible. And in the long run, this is a very strong support region. So unless it's broken, if it continues that DXY is very strong and pound USD is still very bearish, we might break and retest this region to the downside. Otherwise, we might actually see price retest this region, so 123, reject it properly, and then we might see a pullback from that region, a pullback from that region to start retesting these highs it's been making, possibly to 126.30. all right, so this is my movement on how pound USD might play out this week. It's very much bearish, so I'm looking for that 60 pips movement to 123 regions, reject it and possibly start a bullish movement. But a good break of these regions of 123, actually you might see start price probably go back in the long run to retest 1.18. But first we might have our first stops at 120, a very good psychological level, and also 121 regions. Okay, that's that on pound USD. And lastly, on USD CAD, I'm actually on this trade here on a very small account for buys that I entered on Friday. And I stated in the previous outlook that this is a very strong support region, and I saw how price created a double bottom. We've slid into the 1 hour time frame. You see how this created a double bottom. I entered right after the close of this first candle, made this high, I closed partials. I'm still in the trade, but on break even. I'm still anticipating price to continue to the upside here on USD CAD, having seen that DXY is very bullish. So at market open, we might anticipate price to actually just continue to the upside, break through these regions, still so high. But for any reason, if we start seeing a good break of these regions, we might just break retest and see price retest 133.75 regions. Okay, that's that on USD CAD. Okay, so let's go over to the daily. There's something I'm looking out for, which is a good movement of the Fibonacci. If I should pull away from here to this region, then we might actually anticipate price to come back to this point. Okay, but if we look at a move from a break of these regions here, then we can actually possibly see price has retested a good 61.8 region. All right, anticipating price to continue to the upside. I'll work with this one better, but if price breaks through this region, that means we are looking at a play from this one. Okay, all right, so that being noted, for the week I'm looking out for a continuation to the upside, maybe just a mini trend line from here, probably not very dependable, but yes, and some small intraday zones here, possible buys after price comes back to break this region here. Then we might actually see price just continue to the upside. So that's that on USD CAD. Okay, that's that on USD CAD. And bonus for the week, Euro USD, just like pound USD, I'm still very much bearish on it, anticipating price to break this region this week, and if price breaks it, I need that retest and we'll retest 105 regions. Okay, other than that, we might just see price just bull up or reject this support region here, come back around these regions to retest before we continue to the downside. Okay, before we continue to the downside. All right, so let's see how this week will play out. My best analysis for the week, or my best lookout, is pound USD. And yes, gold too, looking so sweet. So let's see how the week will play out here on these pairs, and hope you bag a lot of pips this week. Have a lovely week. I'll see you guys on weekend for the recap. Enjoy. Ciao.